X, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube.
Awesome.
We are live, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Okay, welcome everyone to all four platforms. We had a few technical difficulties, but don't let that concern you. We are waiting for YouTube to do its usual spooling up, and I'm sure, hopefully, that it's already. It says we are now live on there, so let's move to the next. Yeah. Thank you for the applause, ladies and gentlemen. I knew that wasn't you, but that's okay. We're gonna have fun. I don't believe in being so rigid and everything else, but I have a wonderful guest today, and you're not gonna believe what he's gonna show you. I'm waiting for one of them to show up at my airport.
Oh, yeah.
That would be totally cool. Anyway, let's talk about the agenda, and maybe I might want to get the correct camera up. What do you think?
It might be better, Mike.
Yeah, that might be work. That might work out better. And for some reason, I don't have a green screen enabled, and I don't have my beach enabled. Shame on me.
Much better.
And that's still not working right. I'm still showing green screen. I don't know what you folks are saying, but
I see beach now. I think you're good.
okay, good. All right. We've already done we're doing the agenda. The introduction is for our very special guest. We're going to do the interview. He has 10 slides he's going to show you. We'll have some Q&A at the end, and then we'll have a wrap up. And let's get to the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to present to you Peter Schmidt of Transcend Air. You're not going to believe what we're going to see today. And this is Peter. Peter, welcome.
Thank you.
I assume that you can see everything. We've got his slides on there. We decided to do a little something different today. Rather than having it scrunched down into just a little uh, screen, it's the whole background of what he's doing. So a little bit will be cut off, like maybe the tail wings of a couple of the planes, but I'm going to shut up and let Peter do his thing. Peter, it's all yours.
Thank you, sir. I'm very excited to be here today, Mike. Thank you so much for inviting me on your podcast. And it's always fun. Transcend Air is my favorite subject. I never get tired talking about it. As you can see, Transcend's slogan is "Time flies with us." And we're looking forward to and working towards the day where we're going to make that true for a large sector of the population, first in the US and worldwide. So what are we doing? Helicopters are very useful, but they're slow. If they were as fast as jets, they would sell a lot more, and that is the problem we are solving. And we figure that that's a $1 trillion problem that we can go after worldwide with both civil and military applications. So what you see there is a tilt wing vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. So a lot of jargon in this space, but it's a tilt wing VTOL. Well, why does that matter? Well, you can see here, the wing tilts down and it goes from taking off and landing like a helicopter to flying fast, like a very fast turboprop. In fact, on the day this aircraft is certified, it will be the world's fastest helicopter and the world's fastest civil turboprop aircraft.
How fast is that, Peter?
Almost 500 knots.
Which is how many miles an hour?
So this 421 will be cruising at 486 miles an hour.
And a commercial airliner, cruises at what?
Between 500 and 600 miles an hour, depending.
That fast? I thought it was only like 200 and something.
Oh, no. That's jet speed is a real thing, and it's a good thing. 600 miles an hour gets you coast to coast in 5 hours if the wind's not against you.
Right.
So yeah. So that's what you want, and this thing will go nearly as fast as those jets. Actually, it goes faster than some actual jets. So we can say it is jet speed, but we're using propellers because when we take off and land, you see the propellers are pointed upward. That's how we go up and down like a helicopter. If you do that with jet engines, you dig great big trenches in the ground underneath you. It's very unfriendly, and it's also super noisy. So it's good for the F-35, but not good for what we want to do with this aircraft. So it's a jargon, again, dual use aircraft, meaning you can take the same aircraft and use it for civil and military. And in fact, these, and police for that matter. So we could see this being used for rescue with EMTs on it. We can see it used in the military. And of course, we want to take passengers on it, which I'll talk about in a second. But we've kept space just to put special mission equipment in for police or military uses. So why did we start this company? Well, we started this company because we want to fix air transportation. And it's a bold claim, but that really is the goal here. And this aircraft will let us revolutionize regional air mobility. So these are flights like from Boston to Manhattan or LA to San Francisco, or even San Francisco to San Diego. So we're talking flights that are up to like 600 or 700 miles. So not across the coast, but you can see from this route network, we're going to have a very dense set of city pairs we can serve. And the benefit of this is no airports. No airports means no congestion. So Mike, you said you'd like to see this at your airport. Well, what if you didn't even have to go to the airport?
I was going there right after you.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have that slide with you?
The slide. So I don't have
the one in my backyard.
Yeah, the one in your backyard. Oh, dang, I left it out. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I think they understand now exactly where it is. The guy's got a little concrete pad sitting right behind his house. He walks out, sits out there, smokes a cigar, drinks a Cavassier, and he's looking at his private plane.
Yeah, that is one of the use cases. Absolutely. But even that wouldn't have gotten us out of bed in the morning. Rich people have a lot of toys, and we'll be happy to sell this to them. But this is for everybody. If you look at those prices, $283 one way, Manhattan to Boston, that's actually less money than taking an Uber from Wall Street to LaGuardia, taking the Delta shuttle to Boston, and taking an Uber from Logan Airport to downtown Boston. So it is less money. And the reason that we can compete and revolutionize regional air travel is we're competing with the cost of the ground travel as well as the air travel. So that combination, we can do it cheaper using vertical takeoff and landing. And there's lots of benefits to it. But the key one from a passenger perspective is saved time and saved hassle. So right now between Boston and New York, any way you want to go, you can drive, you can take buses, you can take the train, you can fly. It's going to be 4 to 5 hours, door to door. With this, you walk 15 minutes to get on our VTOL, you fly 32 minutes, and then you walk another 15 minutes at the other end of your meeting. That's an hour door to door. We just saved you 80% of the travel time. So it costs less, saves 80% of the travel time, and it's business class seating. So faster, cheaper, and better all in one. And that is how we're going to revolutionize regional air travel. And the side effect of that is it's going to force the major airlines to have to do a much better job of serving the traveling public. So the ripple effects will be to really fix a lot of the stuff that I hate about air travel right now. So this is what we founded the business around and what gets us out of bed in the morning. And it turns out there's some very unique aspects to the aircraft to let you do this and do it profitably. But I'm going to skip through a couple other slides real quick, because when people see this, one of their questions is always, well, isn't that just like the Osprey? And isn't the Osprey currently grounded? Which is true. The Osprey is currently grounded. None of the operators, not the Marines, not Special Ops, not Japan, they're not flying it right now because there was another crash. So fortunately, while it is kind of like the Osprey, it's not. There's the Osprey, right? There's the V-22. Amazing aircraft, provided unmatched capabilities, right? It's twice as fast as the helicopters that it's supplanted. But it's really complicated. I was going to say it's really freaking complicated, and then I was stopped.
Close enough for government work.
I'm on your show, Mike, so I can actually say that. So
yes,
so it's really freaking.
We have no PC on this show.
Yeah, and I'll show you a picture. On the left there, that's the center of where all the rotor blades come together. What we call the rotor head. Right, that's right in the middle. You can see that just that part of the aircraft has hundreds of parts, hundreds of rotating mechanical parts. Our aircraft uses propellers, and that's the CAD of our propeller hub on the right. It has tens of parts. 10 is a much smaller number than 100. And every part has a chance of breaking every day. So the V-22 is fundamentally unreliable because it's way too complicated. But we were able to use a design that's as old as I am. Back in the 1960s, we built tilt wing prototypes. See the XC-142 on the left, the CL-84 on the right. These are basically airplanes with propellers where you tilt the wing. Right? The V-22 is two helicopters yoked together with a wing that turns sideways. These tilt wings are an airplane that just tilts the wing up and down. So it's much mechanically simpler, much, much simpler. So we took this and we've optimized it. So why is tilt wing valuable? Well, not only is it simpler, so it's more reliable. So it won't be having the kinds of problems that we've seen with the V-22. It's also much faster. You can see that the XC-142 flew 375 knots. That's over 400 miles an hour in 1965. Right? Mike, how fast do you think the V-22 goes today?
Well, you already gave us that answer.
How fast?
480 knots or in
No,
excess of 500 miles an hour.
That's my aircraft.
Oh,
The V-22 only goes, sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. The V-22 only goes 250 knots. So in 1965, we went over 100 knots faster. And now Bell and the Army are rolling out the V-280. Again, amazing aircraft, but not built for speed, 280 knots. So what does speed give you? Well, speed gives the military safety, right? Survivability. It's harder to shoot something down that's faster. Speed gives us the ability to carry so many passengers per day that we can do this business and make a big profit. So that's where we get alignment, right? That's where the military requirement for speed and survivability meets our business requirement for flying more passengers per day and making more money.
are you ready for the magic? You ready for the magic question?
I'm ready for the magic question.
Tell me about runways.
Runways are a bug, not a feature.
Well, I don't need a runway, right?
You don't need a runway with this.
Who needs a runway?
Who needs a runway? We don't.
Jets.
You don't want
C-140s.
C-130s. Yes.
What happens if, I'll let you finish that.
So runway, as long as you can use runways, you can design aircraft that actually can carry more than if you can't use runways. That's the fundamental trade-off.
What happens if they go away?
Then you're in
That's where I was going.
Yeah, then you have a problem.
Why?
So the military is concerned that our near peer adversaries, China, now have sufficient missiles that they can take our runways out. And if we lose our runways, we lose our Air Force. If we lose our Air Force, we don't have an effective military. So runway independence has become a really important topic in the military. And we've been right in the thick of that discussion. So we have an amazing team. I just want to give a shout out. I mean, it's my privilege to be here talking, but there's a big team behind me of super competent people. My co-founder, Greg Bruhl, who actually built a 2,000-pound manned tilt-wing VTOL aircraft. Bob Schulman, who has his software running on B-1, B-2, F-35, F-22. Jeff Spitzer, our VP of Engineering. He was the VP of Engineering for General Atomics, oversaw the Predator and the Reaper and all of its descendants. So we've really become the world experts on high-speed VTOL. And that's why we got to have these excellent conversations with the Air Force and with SOCOM. We've won 5 competitive DoD contracts, which is, I think, how Mike and I connected. And I can tell you right now that runway independence is needed right now. We need an Air Force 2.0 that doesn't require runways. That's a paradigm shift. That's a big change.
How does the F-35 fit in with no runways?
Well, the F-35B, the Marine Corps variant, is just fine with no runways. It was designed to be vertical takeoff and landing, and it's an awesome aircraft.
I have video from the Fort Lauderdale Air Show 5 years ago when they first announced and brought it out of beta. And thank goodness he was over the water. He came flying in, flipped the engines a little bit, and just dead stop like a helicopter. And everybody's going, how is he doing that?
Isn't that amazing? It is so cool.
You could see the exhaust coming out of the engines going down. The water's flashing around. He got real close, and then he turned it out, pushed a button, and it looked like one of those alien crafts just gone.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. And that's the kind of capability that we need a lot more of, and not just for fighter planes. This is not a fighter aircraft that we're designing. It's more like a utility helicopter that can go that fast and maneuver that way. So what you see here is we've got a little bit of a minigun sticking out of the Air Force gray camo aircraft. And the idea there is that, it can show up and shoot up some bad guys if it needs to.
We can
But you can
actually
also,
arm it.
you can arm it. Yep. You can put what you see here on the pylons. You can mount these pylons on it and even have external weapons. So you can have Hellfire missiles. You can have rocket pods, 2.75-inch rocket pods. This kind of thing that the special operators use today on Blackhawks and on the Little Bird special ops helicopters, you can mount on this.
Will you take a check? Will you take a check if I get one?
Yes, please. Would love some more support. Because what we've done is we've advanced this design to the point where we know we can build it. We know it's going to succeed. And so, we need to take that next step of getting some big checks and go doing that. That's what we're working on.
We sent out the promo for this show to over 700,000 government contractors that are registered on SAM, and the question is going to come back, and because I couldn't get the YouTube comments up, but that's irrelevant. We'll get that on the replay. How can they buy one? How can the government buy one aside from your 4, sole source contracts?
Well, so we have a phase 2 STTR that we're performing right now. And my understanding is one of the benefits of having won that phase 2 sitter is that we're now qualified to get direct to phase 3 contract awards from the government, meaning that we can get some substantial amount of money towards further developing the aircraft. So that's one of the avenues that we're investigating. And the next step, Mike, is we've got to build a full-scale prototype and show everybody it really does what we say it can do. We're confident, but we're engineers, right? We know people need to see it to believe it. So we're going to go build one or more full-scale aircraft and show that it really does work. When that happens, the proper way for the military to buy it is there's 2 ways. There's 2 ways, honestly. You can become a program of record, quote unquote, program of record, and get Congress to allocate funds and a program office stood up and procure these things. There's another way, which is when we start building civil ones, SOCOM can just buy them. If SOCOM likes it, SOCOM can just buy the civil ones, and then they can pay other people to fill in these magenta areas with the weapon systems and the communication systems and whatever they need. They do a lot of that now. And we're exploring all avenues at the moment. But I'll tell you, this need for runway independence is real and it's urgent, and it's only going to get more urgent over time. And we actually believe that the simplicity of our design means that our aircraft can be flying for the military soon as anybody's possibly could, and sooner than anybody else's we're aware of. And we need this capability. It's urgent. So we kind of are here. I said we started this business because we want to do regional air transportation. But now we've shown up to the military, become experts on high-speed VTOL, and we're saying, look, guys, you need to buy this because it's going to get you a critical capability sooner than anything else. So we're having those conversations. But you know what? We're a startup. We've got some great partners. We've got all the partners we need to do this and make it work and supply the military. But we're not a traditional aerospace and defense prime contractor. So we're starting to learn about that world. It's an education.
Let me go get my checkbook. We got to get this rolling. I need to be able to fly to LA, or no, not LA. I would never go to LA. I need to be able to fly up to see you.
I would love that. And I've been living in the future with this thing for so long, I can barely stand to get in regular airplanes now. Just standing in line to go through TSA starts putting my teeth on edge.
Even with clear and TSA pre-check and all. I actually live half a mile from a community. It's called a community airport.
Yep.
And it's got both Cessnas and it looks like an old World War II plane that flies out of there, but all private jets.
No private jets and private jets? And
private jets.
Yeah.
I've seen Gs, I've seen Lears, I've seen everything right over my house.
Nice. Yeah.
Luckily, nothing's come up during the broadcast to hear the jet engines whining.
Well, I live right next to Hanscom Air Force Base outside of Boston.
You remember AFCAC 254, that program many, many years ago when I worked at Honeywell Federal Systems?
What was that one?
AFCAC 254 was the
Yeah, I'm not
program
familiar.
for. Do you remember the movie War Games?
Yes.
I was actually at uh, in the secure area of NORAD, and General Powers was sitting next to me when I was giving a presentation. I came back from that trip. The movie
Yeah.
came out and said, "Sir, General Powers is on the phone." I said, "No, he's not. He's sitting next to me sleeping." So there is no Whopper. For those of you wondering, it's called a WMIX, Worldwide Military Command and Control. We used to drop the what we call them now, what they use them for drone pilots, those storage containers. We used to drop those out of airplanes,
Oh yeah.
mobile command post.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Um, yeah. There's a lot of interesting military hardware that I don't know anything about because I've never been in a black program or affiliated with it. But now that we get to talk to special operators,
Yep.
commandos, SEALs, Rangers, those are some impressive individuals, and I get the sense that they have some really cool tech.
Oh
Really
yeah.
cool. Yeah. Um, yeah. So, all right. So we hope, Mike, to be able to start flying you in 2028. 2028, 2029, you should be able to, you won't have to buy a ticket. You're a friend. So we'll just put you on the aircraft. You show up, when you call, you let them know you know me, and you'll be good.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I don't even have to pay for the gas. Which reminds me, what's the consumption on these things?
Well, all right. Well, that's a great question. So it burns about 50, it burns 50% more per hour than a comparable helicopter, which sounds bad at first. 150% the fuel burn. Well, the reason it does that is it's to go fast, right? Helicopters don't go very fast. This goes really fast. So the end result is because it goes 3 times faster, it covers the ground 3 times faster. That 50% greater fuel burn turns into half as much fuel per trip. So it burns half as much fuel as a helicopter making the same trip.
But how
Which makes
fast
it
can a helicopter run? 100, 200?
miles per hour, they tend to go less than 200 miles an hour, somewhere between 150 and 200 miles an hour top. And when you run them at that top speed, they beat themselves to death. So people don't typically do that. They tend to fly
Is
them around.
that I had a friend was a training pilot for U.S. Air, became American, and one of the things that he would always tell me about is that you never want, very seldom will a jet ever take off at full speed, and having been
Right.
a former yacht owner, they say never run your engines at full speed. You're going to end up in the shop more than you're going to be in the water.
Yeah, that is true. Most aircraft are designed around an efficient power level that is not the max power level. Um, Interestingly, we designed our aircraft to use the max continuous power of the engines. So it's as the name implies, it's the maximum power you can get and run for an indefinite amount of time. You can get more power out of it, but only for like 2 minutes or 30 seconds. And we don't actually depend on that, but some helicopters do. And it's for exactly that reason. If you push it too far, things start wearing out very fast. Um,
I
so
believe the number I was given one time was, never exceed 75%.
That could be a very good rule depending on the system. It's true for electric cars and electric aircraft now, is that you never charge above 80%, you never discharge below 20%. So you're leaving 40% of your battery idle for emergencies, basically. Fortunately, we get to use a lot more than that. I wanted to throw this slide up since I started talking about helicopters and the economics. So this is for the VIP market. These are the current sort of market leading VIP helicopters. And you can see all the green is underneath our design. And it's one of the benefits of the tilt wing aircraft architecture is that we get much higher speed, much longer range, much better interior volume. So it's a much roomier aircraft inside. It's much more comfortable. We can put a lav with a sink, with a galley, with a closet, with a door, so you can have privacy. And we can still get 6 VIP passengers in there. So we really expect when this aircraft's on the market that it's going to very quickly dominate this VIP helicopter segment. Helicopters are great, but helicopters are designed to be most efficient when they're hovering, sitting still in the air. And the faster they go, the less efficient they get, and the more they wear themselves out. Our aircraft was designed to go as fast as possible. And it's not as efficient in the hover as a helicopter. but it doesn't matter. It's got so much excess power that it's happy to hover all day long. So there's a corner of the aircraft design space nobody had ever explored before. And it turns out that it gives us these really good economics. So I promised to my LinkedIn friends, some of whom I know are watching, that part of what we talk about is why we're going to be so profitable. And the real reason is, number one, VTOL, so we don't have to use big airports. Number two, high speed, so we can get lots of trips per day per aircraft. So my pilots are getting a lot of reps and carrying a lot of passengers. And number three is high speed means less maintenance cost for us. So it's a new part of the space. And the last thing about it is we're not going to share this aircraft with just anybody for doing scheduled service. That's going to be our business. So people aren't going to be able to jump in and compete with us, Mike. We'll get to maintain it. So that combination, even at those prices that I showed, which are less door to door than current air travel with Ubers at each end, even at those prices, we're going to make about 4 times as much profit as the current airlines do. So
you already know my next question.
What's that?
When's the IPO?
Well, our model has it happening in approximately 2031.
I'll be alive then.
Yeah, good. Good. So what other questions you got for me?
Right now, the only way I can buy one is if I'm part of a program, one of the 4 or 5 programs. I got to bring up the three initials that I've worked with for almost 38 years.
Yeah.
Would something like this be available for an Air Force base or whatever to buy it through GSA?
At some point, yes, we absolutely would, want to be on the GSA schedule. And one of the applications, there are these very big missile fields in the center of the country, North Dakota, elsewhere. And they patrol those with helicopters right now. And I'd love to see them patrol with ours because they could cover 3 times the ground per hour. So you get 3 times as many patrols in per day.
Okay, I don't like PC, right? I hate PC. Yeah. Is it faster than a Chinese balloon?
Yes, it is way faster than a Chinese balloon. It can't go as high as a Chinese balloon, but it can get up where you could see a Chinese balloon from there.
Well, how high can it go? I forgot to ask you that. I mean, jets cruise at what, 35 to 40?
Yeah, exactly. 000? Yep. It'll be, for the military, we'll be happy to fly it up over 30,000 feet. Probably 32,000 or so will be the service ceiling for this aircraft. Don't need to go that high for civil stuff. It could, but we just don't need to. We'd probably be flying between 10 and 20 for most of the time, which is cool because nobody's in that space right now. So it's airspace we get to use that nobody else does.
That's also probably more fuel. They say the higher you go, the better the fuel efficiency, but I don't think that's an issue with yours.
Well, that is true because the air's thinner and you don't have to push as much air out of the way. But you have to burn fuel to get up there. And so there's a point where the savings from cruising up there is outweighed by the fuel burn to get up there. And for us, the way we've designed it, that's between 15,000 and 20,000 feet. So, yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. No, it's been really fun. I didn't come into this as an aircraft designer. I have an engineering background. And unfortunately, our team has some of the world's best aircraft designers on it. And I've learned from them. But there's like all engineering, there's all these trade-offs that you need to think about. And what the choices we've made are unique. Nobody's made these design choices before.
Is it possible that this could eventually be crafted to be stealth? Or do the rotors eliminate that?
I think the answer is it will never be as stealthy as an F-35 because of the rotors. Those will always have some signature. And then beyond that, I can say there are stealth features that can be added to the aircraft that would be very helpful. But I can't talk about any details about it because that stuff becomes classified very quickly.
Of course.
Yeah.
And there's very few people even watching that have that kind of clearance.
Yeah. And I don't. So I can only pretend to know anything about it. And I try not to.
Well, I worked in that arena with when I worked at Honeywell Federal. And I was actually traveling around the country, hawking what we did was we took a mini computer and put it in a PC case.
Oh.
And then it went to Annapolis, And what I'm about to tell you is not classified. Uh, the procedure is called Tempest.
Oh yeah.
And Annapolis was the Tempest facility. And this thing had Faraday cages all on the inside of it.
Yep.
And I sat there at NORAD with General Small, and we took the thing apart down to the processor and passed it around the audience.
Ha.
And he said, "How in
That's
the hell are you going
impressive.
to get this back together?" I said, "Watch me work." And I got it all back together with all the cages and everything. The salespeople, I was product. The
Right.
salespeople were going crazy. This is not going to work. We're going to look like fools. I said,
Yeah.
"Chill, grasshopper." Put it together, and I leaned over and said, "General," I said, "when I push the button, it's supposed to go beep beep." He says, "I got you covered if it doesn't." And it beep beeped. And he said, "Boy, I'm off the hook on that one."
Yeah, you
So
didn't have to take out of the
yeah,
sales
and it,
guys.
it
That's
was
good.
100% secure.
That's very impressive, I have to say. Being originally a computer geek, very
But
impressive.
unfortunately, even while I was in the service, and I'll clean this up for the audience, I never got a chance to blow stuff up.
Oh, well, that seems like a missed opportunity, Mike.
It was, but I was in the Pentagon in 72 when somebody blew up the second floor men's room.
Oh,
I think the janitor hadn't been there, so they locked us down because we're
oh,
in the Cold War at the time.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they closed off the concourse with all the shopping and everything else. And then the brain children, who I'm sure are college graduates, I never went to college, even though I blew that. They actually ran a subway station under the Pentagon. I'm sorry, can you say dirty bomb?
yeah, yeah,
And they took
yeah.
away my east loading dock parking, which I used to call on Joint Chiefs of Staff and Air Force Data Center and all
Right,
that. And I was also down in L'Enfant Plaza in D.C. If anybody's familiar with that area, and I had a blast, but I didn't get to blow anything up.
right.
All my
That
friends
is
are saying,
good.
"Oh, it's so much fun. I would love to be a drone pilot at 72 years old." I have no
Yeah.
conscience.
Well, you can be a drone pilot. You can get your own drone,
Yeah, but I can't arm it.
not legally. That is true.
I told you we were going to have fun
Yeah. um, yeah, I've mounted some things on drones, but officially none of them have been explosive.
until it crashes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Then you got the electric battery problem, but we won't talk about that.
Anything else you want to throw in this mix? It's
No, I really appreciate the opportunity to come and share some of our story.
I'm
And
excited. I mean, I can't wait for the IPO. I'm going to have to, but I can't wait for the IPO.
oh, dude, I know I've been waiting for a while as we've been working on this, and it gets harder every day. But we're pushing hard to make it happen. It takes a long time to bring a new aircraft into existence,
Oh,
but
of course.
we're getting
Then you
there.
got to deal with the FAA.
I don't mind the FAA, honestly. Um, it's I appreciate what they've done, and the result has been amazingly safe, despite doors falling off
Safer
planes
than
recently.
driving, especially in
But
Florida.
oh yeah, yes, much safer. So I appreciate all that, and so yeah, we know the hoops we got to jump through, and there's a lot of them, but it's got to be safe at the end of the day. So there you go.
Well, how does anybody get a hold of you if they want to reach out and touch someone?
Yeah, I would love that. So our website is transcend.aero, AERO. And I'm Peter at transcend.aero for email. Welcome emails from folks. They can hit our website. There's a contact link you can click on. And I'm also active on LinkedIn. So you can find me as Peter Harrison Schmidt on LinkedIn. So welcome all sorts of questions. And unfortunately, with the YouTube comments not going, we didn't get heckled the way I expected to.
Well,
So
that
we'll
was
have to
my
do.
job.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. But I'm expecting heckling in the comments. So I look forward to responding to that too.
Yep. Well, there's quite a few, and unfortunately, I couldn't get them up in time from YouTube, which is the other platforms are very difficult to get the comments to show.
Yeah.
YouTube does it pretty much automatically, but I had some issues with, as you can see, with even excuse me, getting the green screen to work. But I'm going to skip the Q&A portion because we've already done that. But let's do a wrap up.
Yeah.
Awesome!
And there you are, and there I am. And if anybody's got any questions, please put them in the chat. And if it's a question, put a Q in front of it, please, or just get them in there. I will go back through when we're done. I will get everything and coordinate with Peter on it, and
Yep.
we'll get it going. And we're actually ahead of schedule. We're only 35 minutes in, so that's fine. We got a lot of information. I'm happy. I assume you're
Excellent.
happy with
Yeah,
what's
no, this has
going
been
on,
great.
and we'll have to go through all the likes, dislikes, and comments. But why don't we get out of here so you go get some lunch?
Yeah, that sounds good.